In this video, we're going to be talking all about the new moon we're having on May 30th, the new moon in Gemini. We're also going to be doing an energy update, and make sure to stay tuned to the end because we'll be doing a pick a card reading for the messages you need to know during this moon cycle. All right, so I've got 5 major themes that I'd like to talk about today. And the first one is the energy update, okay? So let's talk about this because there's some other stuff going on besides the new moon. We have Pluto still in retrograde. Pluto's in retrograde since the end of April and will still be in retrograde until October. We also have an upcoming retrograde coming the beginning of June. June 4th, we are having Saturn go into retrograde. Now I'll explain all this in just one second. But the day before that happens, Mercury is getting out of retrograde. We are currently in Mercury retrograde. However, as soon as Mercury goes back station direct, Saturn will go retrograde that next day. So let's talk about what does that all mean? Well, Pluto is bringing in a lot of unconscious energy, conscious. Pluto is a little bit, he's bringing forth some challenging times, but there's a lot of lessons with a lot of gratitude that's coming. Pluto's retrograde for a little bit longer of a period, more like 5 months. And so we're going to be with this energy for some time. Interesting enough, Saturn is going to come into the game now with Pluto. Now, Saturn rules discipline and karma. So you might be feeling really, it's going to go one or two ways, depending on which way you polarize, but you might be getting really frustrated with routines, structures, with timing. They feel like things aren't working out. Saturn is coming in almost kind of to test you a little bit, to offer you some new discipline, and maybe you have to shake up that routine. Maybe what worked for you once no longer works for you. But if you polarize the other way with Saturn, you might all of a sudden be really focused on building structures, building routine, gaining the momentum, and setting up those daily plans, those daily schedules that are going to allow you to build that discipline, right? So maybe in the mornings you get up and you do your morning meditation, you do your morning affirmations. Maybe that wasn't something you did every day, but once a week, once a month, whatever it is, Saturn may be challenging you to go deeper into your journey to build that consistency so you may develop that discipline that you need. Okay? And I also want to say this, right? So Mercury's in retrograde. Mercury's been in retrograde. It's currently in retrograde. It rules communication electronics. So Mercury will be ending the retrograde. However, there is always a post shadow, meaning that even when Mercury goes station back direct on the 3rd, there might be a little minor wonky stuff still going on as Mercury kind of stations back in its energy. So if you still do feel anything coming up in the next couple weeks after Mercury goes station direct, just know that, okay, it's just the post shadow. This too shall pass. This is just some stuff that's going on, right? It's good to know about the stuff so then we can work with it. So we know Saturn's going direct. Okay, so it might be a little bit more challenging me with my day-to-day routines. Maybe I get a schedule. This is why we need to know this stuff, right? Mercury's been in retrograde. Okay, well maybe now is not the best time to have a conversation. Maybe I'll wait, right? Because my words might get jumbled, okay? Pluto's in retrograde. Okay, I have to find the good in the darkness. Why are these challenging times coming? What can I do to work with the subconscious energy? What do I need to bring forth into my conscious reality? Knowing when these planets are retrograde and when they go back direct, so we know how to work with them, okay? So that's the first thing I want to talk about here. The second thing I want to talk about is, so the new moon is in Mercury, right? And Mercury rules communication. I'm sorry. The new moon is in Gemini, and Gemini rules communication. We were talking so much about Mercury, I got wrapped up into Mercury's. But you know what? Mercury and Gemini go hand in hand because Gemini is ruled by Mercury, right? So let's talk about this for a second. If you've been struggling to find the words to speak your truth, your communication feels blocked, well, this new moon, right, we're just getting out of heavy energies. We just had 2 eclipses. Mercury's in retrograde, Pluto's in retrograde. And so conversations may have been coming to the surface as a time to have them. The Mercury might have been showing you for some time you need to have this conversation with, whether with yourself or someone else. Maybe it didn't work out while Mercury was in retrograde. But now with this new moon in Gemini, now that we're out of the eclipse season and we're going to move forth out of Mercury retrograde, it might be time to revisit a conversation or have that conversation that you didn't get to have yet. Mercury was kind of triggering us throughout these last couple of throughout the last couple of moons, especially the last full moon we had, to start conversing more, to clear the air, to work stuff out, whether that had to do with ourselves or another person. But again, right, Mercury was retrograde, so it might have been a little bit of a challenging time, and the conversations might have flowed the way we needed. Well, now that we're going into Gemini, Gemini rules Mercury, Gemini rules communication, it might be a lot easier of a time to communicate. So anything that's blocked may now be lifted with this new moon in Gemini. The energy was very heavy the last couple weeks. Might still feel a couple trinkling days of it, but I'm telling you, going forth from the 30th on, and especially after June 3rd, the communication now is the time. So Gemini is really going to be pushing us to have that communication with ourselves. What do we need to be honest with? Or to the person? There might be something we need to clear the air with. We might need to forgive. But Gemini rules communication is the second thing that came up. So there might be some energies of conversation that need to happen. And this might even have been brewing over since the last moon. This might be still the last little pieces to close that chapter out, okay? This energy has been in the collective for the last like 2 to 3 weeks. And now that we have the new moon in Gemini, it's coming in really strong to close out that chapter, that cycle, okay? The third thing I want to talk about today is the theme that came up is a sacred space, okay? Make sure you have a sacred space. Find a place that you can devote to yourself, right? Like for me, I have this one little area I go meditate in front of in the morning. I do my candle meditations. Find your little spot. If you don't have anywhere in the home, maybe you share a home, maybe you have kids, maybe there's just stuff everywhere, and you can't build a little meditation center, that's fine. Where is your sacred spot? Maybe you have a spot out by the garden. Maybe you, like for me, I can go sit on the dock. Maybe it's just on a porch swing. Maybe it's just the neighborhood and you feel good walking around. Find yourself a sacred spot. Find yourself a spot where you can decompress within yourself to give yourself that alone time. 5 minutes, 10 minutes, 15 minutes, 20 minutes. Do it in the morning when you first wake up, in those first few minutes, in that first hour, or even at the end of the day. Find yourself a spot that's just for you, that you can go and have that quiet alone time. Now, sure, you can go meditate there. Maybe you light some candles, maybe you work some incense or some essential oils. It doesn't have to be. Maybe your sacred spot is a bubble bath, and that you can devote that area to you, and you light the candles while you're in the bath. It's like the sage, whatever it is. Find a sacred spot so you could turn your brain off for 5, 15, 20 minutes, whatever you can give yourself. Try to do it at the very beginning of the morning, first hour of the day, or in the last hour of night, but whatever you could do, find a sacred spot for you so you have some alone time and quiet the mind. Okay, so the fourth thing I want to talk about that's coming up is sacral chakra activations, okay? And this will be with us over the whole moon cycle. So, right, the new moon energy will stick with us for about 2 weeks until we hit a full moon, and then we'll have a full moon energy for about 2 weeks, right, roughly? And so that whole moon cycle is about 30 days. And so going into, even after the full moon, it's going to die out a little bit, but it's going to be really, there's almost a blast energy there. When we go into the summer solstice, if you're in the northern hemisphere, right, and we have the full moon, which I believe it's on June 15th. I think so. Don't quote me, but I think it is. Right? Between now and the next full moon, the next 2 heavy weeks is going to be like activation, sacral chakra activation. And then I feel around that full moon, and I'll have a whole video out on this around the full moon, there's going to be a big blast off, right? And then we're going to have that last little like power boost of the sacral chakra activation, and then it will kind of dim out a little bit, and then once we get into the summer solstice, it's like even keel energy, because I feel like that's going to dive us into solar plexus energy, which I will talk more about that. I'm gonna have a whole energy update video about the summer solstice, because we also have Jupiter going retrograde, and there's so much stuff, and I've been getting so many downloads. So let's just take this one step at a time. All you need to know for this new moon in Gemini is sacral chakra activations are going on. They will be with you really strong for the next 2 weeks. And then when we have that next full moon, I'll have a whole other video to let you know what's going on with the blast, okay? Because then it will lead into even to more after that. So right now, sacral chakra activations. So anything you do to work with color therapy, the color orange. Sacral chakra is governed by the color orange. Maybe do some sacral chakra breath work. Maybe some, you want to burn some orange candles. Maybe you have a carnelian stone you want to carry around in your pocket. Maybe you want to eat some orange foods like carrots and sweet potatoes. But nourish the sacral chakra. A lot of creative juices are going to be flowing. If you get an inspired idea or action, literally go write it down in the moment. I don't want you to lose it. You might be getting a bunch of inspired ideas coming in over the next 2 to 3 weeks, right? So there's going to be a lot of activations in the sacral chakra. So all of a sudden you might be in the shower and get that $1 million idea, okay? Whatever's going on, whenever that inspired idea action or anything about creativity comes in, go write it down, because there's a lot of activations that are coming. They're leading to a way bigger energy towards the end of June. This is just the beginning. It's like a 3-step thing, right? So this new moon in Gemini is the sacral chakra activations. Then when we have the full moon in June, the middle of June, it's going to be the blast off energy. And then when we go into the retrograde, Jupiter going into retrograde in the summer solstice, I don't want to spoil it too much, but there's a bunch of solar plexus. It's a beautiful energy, stepping forth in a power. So this is like step 1. This is like a 3-part thing coming up. So make sure you stay tuned to those other videos. But right now, all you need to do is nourish your sacral chakra, because there's activations happening all over the collective right now, okay? And the last thing I want you to talk about, wow, interesting enough, this is so funny. So the last theme, the 5th theme I want to talk about is abundance is coming, okay? So interesting enough, I kind of, I don't know, I just channeled these messages when I like connected with the angels, but this is like that final outcome. Because as we talked about that just being a 3-step thing, that is the outcome. This is what it's building. The energy is gaining momentum, and it's almost like you have to go through that first step of the activations to get the blast off in the second step. So then you could get into that abundance energy, which again will be after the summer solstice, right? So that is coming. Here's what you need to know: it's coming. Don't worry and like, oh my God, what do I have to do? I have to prepare and plan. Just don't worry. It's coming. That's all you need to know. There's this 3-step energy stepping forth. We're all stepping forth into it, right? And so the best thing you can do to know that's coming is just work with the sacral chakra in the meantime. But it is coming. So things that you've been waiting on, maybe you've been planning, that is going to, that preparation is going to end, and it's going to land into abundance. Abundance is coming. Abundance is coming for sure. This is the start of it. It's the beginning of the beginning. You might even start to see little things, a bunch of benefits happening now, especially around the 30th. God, within 3 days of the new moon, it's like lucky season, because it's the beginning of the beginning. It's like this new energetic doorway is opening. And so it's coming, and you'll see stuff, but then it might just die out for 2 weeks. And then you'll get more abundance, but then it's going to be really heavy going into the end of June. But this is what you need to know. Abundance is coming. So start preparing for it. Here's what you do with this. You prepare your mind for it, right? We're going to get out of that negative mindset. Knowing abundance is coming and you deserve it. So let's start speaking some positive affirmations about what it is we desire, whatever we're manifesting and stuff about ourselves, because it's coming. And here's the thing, as we go through that 3-step energy, if I'm all, well, I don't believe it and I don't want it and I don't deserve it, yeah, right, and I do this for 2 weeks and 3 weeks, right? It's not, you're not going to reap the whole abundance you could reap. So I want you to speak in those abundance affirmations about yourself, about your business, about your family, about your loved ones, about the career, whatever it is. Speak those into existence now, because you can start working with these energies. I always talk about working with the energies, right? And so know that abundance is coming is important, because I want you to start working with these energies. So do a bunch of abundant affirmations for you, because you will start seeing payoffs. Again, there'll probably be a big one around the new moon. We'll have another one coming up around the full moon in June, and then we'll have the, oh God, after the blast off, right? The abundance will be there. So just remember that it's like a 3-step thing, and start speaking that positivity into your reality now, okay? All right, guys, so those are the 5 things that I want to talk about during this new moon. And so now we've reached the time where we get to do our pick a card reading. So here's what we're going to do. I'm just going to do 3 simple cards. So here's where I invite you to take a moment to pick what number you feel most aligned to. Is it 1, 2, or 3? And whatever number you're most aligned to will be the card that has the strongest message for you. Now you might have a message in 2 cards or 3 cards, so I do invite you to listen to them all, but the strongest message for you during this moon cycle will be the number you feel most drawn to, 1, 2, or 3. So if you chose number 1, here is your message for this moon cycle. All right, card number 1. Beautiful. Let's see what we got. Okay, release. Okay. Card number 1 is release. Is there a fear attached to this? Are you worried about somebody else's opinion or their thoughts of you? What is holding you back from stepping forth? Knowing that we just talked about abundance is coming, what is holding you back? Is it the mindset? If it is, we need to release that negative self-talk and start really doing those affirmations. If you're worried about what somebody else is going to think of you or their judge of you, release that. Hand that over to your angels. Now is the time to release that because you do have abundance coming. Know that card 1. It is your birthright. Release that so you could step forward into what is yours. Okay. All right. If you chose number 2, this is your moon message. Beauty. Okay. Couple things are going on with this. I feel slow down energy, right? Beauty, and I feel nature. There's so much beauty everywhere, right? Sometimes you literally have to get out and stop and smell the roses. Like literally get out and notice the beauty. Be in the awe of nature. Oh my God, notice the squirrels playing, the butterfly, the birds chirping, all of the stuff. Just slow down and realize the beauty that there is in nature. But it almost might be a time for you to see the beauty in yourself too, because the world sees you as a beautiful creature. So is this now your time to see that in you too? Why not start believing that into your reality today? Why put off your true beauty, your true happiness? It's time that you know that you are a beautiful being. You deserve it. Okay. And, whoa, card 3 jumped right out. Let's see what we got. We've got growth. Okay. You know what? Why does this feel like a slower moving energy? I think you've been in a growth spurt, meaning that, here's the thing, you've been growing little by little by little by little. But from your perspective, it might be rather challenging. You might feel that you're stuck and stagnant. Here's what happens when you're on that timeline, though. When you are slowly progressing and it feels like you're not going anywhere, when am I going to blast off? When am I going to get to the other side? You have a bigger blast off. It's like because you had all these little things that you didn't even realize that they were so little, that when you get to the other side, it's this huge momentum. It's a huge rocket ship that shifts, not ship is a boat, right? shifts you into a new reality, right? And it will like thrust you forward in the new energy. So no, oh, and you know what else I just noticed? Look at this card. It has the number 5 on it, right? 5s are changed. So hold on. You're still going through the growth spurt. It might be a little bit slow, but the good news is you're near the end of it and it's about to change. 5s are the change, and you will be thrusted forward, shifted into a whole new reality, right? That you didn't even think was possible because you've probably been stuck and stagnant for some time, okay? All right, guys, so that is the end of today's video. And so if you got anything out of this video, do me a favor with that thumbs up button. This way I know you got something that resonated. If you guys haven't or subscribed to my channel, make sure you hit that subscribe button, and there's a bell too. You want the bell and turn on all notifications because I do daily videos. And I don't want you guys to miss out on any upcoming messages. That next message just might be the message that you need to hear today. All right, my loves, thanks so much for watching. Till next time, be blessed.